You thought the mountaintop would feel different. You imagined the applause would echo longer. You stood there, trophy in hand, heart in silence, and you whispered, "Is this it?" You reached the goal. But the goal didn't reach you, because you were never just chasing a position, you were searching for peace. And success, for all its glitter, cannot give you peace. We spend our lives climbing ladders, only to find them leaning against the wrong walls. We run the race, win the medal, and realize we lost something along the way. Success is loud, but meaning is quiet, and in the noise of achievement, we often silence the deeper questions. You were told this would complete you, but the soul does not feast on achievements. It hungers for connection, for eternity, for something that cannot rust, fade, or expire. That feeling of emptiness is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of design. A reminder that your heart was made for more, not more things, but more truth, more purpose, more depth. The world sold you a narrative that once you have it, you'll be happy, but fulfillment is not found in the having, it's found in the becoming. Becoming whole, becoming true, becoming aligned with a meaning that doesn't end when the audience goes home. You can win the game and still lose your soul. You can get everything you wanted and still feel like something's missing. Because you were never meant to be fulfilled by moments, you were meant to be fulfilled by meaning, by purpose, by presence, by something bigger than yourself. Success reveals what satisfaction cannot fix. It exposes the myth, it tears the curtain, and behind all your trophies, you find the quiet ache of the eternal. You see, you're not broken, you're awakening, you're not defeated, you're being invited. Invited to rise higher, to seek deeper, to stop chasing applause and start chasing authenticity, to stop building towers and start building truth, because true success is not measured by what you reach. It's measured by what you become, and you were made for more than applause. You were made for alignment, you were made for meaning, and until you pursue that, you will always feel empty, even when you win. So win differently, climb differently, build differently. Choose success that satisfies the soul, not just the surface. You thought finishing the race would quiet the storm. You thought the promotion would fill the silence. You thought crossing the finish line meant the journey was over, but instead, it only revealed a deeper beginning. You looked in the mirror with the medal around your neck, but the mirror didn't reflect peace. It reflected a question: why doesn't this feel like I imagined? Because success is not the summit, it is the signpost. It doesn't end the search, it intensifies it. The applause fades, the certificate hangs. The congratulations stop, but the hunger remains. It's the hunger that success cannot satisfy, because it was never meant to. The finish line only uncovers the ache that's always been there, an ache for something deeper than winning. We were trained to chase the result, but the result was never the reward. The reward is understanding why you ran in the first place. You can build the business, earn the title, stand on the stage, and still feel like something inside you is unfinished. Because you weren't designed to end with achievements. You were designed to discover something through them. Success was never the meal. It was the scent. It was the aroma that led you towards something invisible. Something eternal you've been climbing for years, step after step, sacrifice after sacrifice, and now that you're here the view looks different than expected. Why? Because the top doesn't give you identity. It only magnifies who you already are. It doesn't define you, it reveals you. If you climbed empty, you arrive emptier. If you climbed wounded, you arrive exposed. If you climbed thinking this would heal you, you arrive with the truth it won't. Success doesn't fill the void, it unmasks it. It shows you that performance cannot replace purpose, that rewards cannot replace relationship, that achievement cannot replace alignment. It's not that success is wrong. It's that we asked it to be something it never could be. We made it our destination when it was only supposed to be a checkpoint. You feel hollow, not because you failed, but because you arrived expecting finality. And all you found was an invitation to go deeper, to ask bigger questions, to examine what's beneath the trophies, to explore what success was trying to point you toward, because if you stop at success, you miss the meaning. You miss the deeper unveiling of who you truly are. The world told you to hustle, to grind, to accumulate, but no one told you that the soul cannot survive on status. You've been applauded, but not fulfilled. You've been praised, but not seen. You've been successful, but not satisfied, and that is not weakness, it's awakening. You are waking up to the truth that fulfillment doesn't come from what you reach, it comes from what you align with. And alignment begins where performance ends. You can gain everything and still feel like something's missing, because what you're missing isn't more, it's meaning, and meaning is not found in the spotlight. It's found in the silence after the show, in the stillness that follows the applause, in the questions that rise when everyone else thinks you've made it. You feel the hunger more clearly now, because all the noise is gone, because you've achieved what others dream of, and you've discovered what they don't know to fear, that it's not enough, it never was. That doesn't make you broken, it makes you ready, ready to stop chasing shadows, ready to stop trying to fill a spiritual need with worldly wins, ready to see success not as the destination but as the doorway, because the real journey begins after you succeed, when the lights go out, when the noise dies down, when you're left with yourself and the deeper call begins to whisper, "Now, let's find what truly satisfies." You stood on the peak, you tasted the fruit, you drank the wine of victory. And yet, you still thirsted. You didn't thirst for more trophies. You thirsted for something that wouldn't fade. You looked around at what you had gained and saw that none of it could stay, because the soul was never built to feast on the temporary. The soul was made for eternity, and anything less will always leave you aching. We applaud the moment, but moments end. We decorate success with gold, but gold cannot love you back. You hold the certificate, but it cannot hold you. You wear the crown, but it cannot cover your longing. You feel the emptiness, not because you're ungrateful, but because you were created with capacity far beyond earthly rewards. You were wired to stretch beyond this life, to long for what does not expire. The applause is sweet, but short-lived. The reward is bright, but quickly dulls. The achievement is grand, but strangely hollow. It's not the success that's the problem. It's the soul trying to live on crumbs. You've tasted every flavor the world could offer, but nothing can stay on your tongue long enough to satisfy. It fades like perfume in the wind. Beautiful, but passing, and your soul refuses to be tricked. It knows the difference between joy and distraction, between peace and performance, between wholeness and the illusion of it. You are told, just win and you'll feel whole, but winning only scratches the surface. It cannot touch the eternal within you. It cannot reach the places that ache without language, because the soul, the real you, is not satisfied by medals. It is only satisfied by meaning. We think the hunger is a flaw. We try to medicate it with more praise, more power, more progress, but the hunger isn't a flaw. It's a signal, a sacred reminder that you were not built to settle, not built to stay small, not built to live on what fades. Temporary victories feel good, but they cannot feed the spirit. They do not reach the foundation of who you are. You can win the world and still feel like a stranger inside your own skin, because every earthly crown is borrowed. Every standing ovation is short. Every headline will fade, and still the soul endures. The part of you that dreams when no one is watching, the part that cries in the quiet, the part that asks, "Is there more than this?" That part doesn't want success. It wants substance, it wants truth, it wants permanence. We decorate our lives with moments, but the soul decorates itself with eternity, with what is unseen, with what is untouched by rust, dust, or time. Your heart knows the truth before your mouth can say it. This can't be all there is. There has to be more, and there is, but you won't find it in the spotlight. You won't find it in the ceremony. You won't find it in the headlines or the highlight reel. You'll find it in the stillness, in the questions you've been afraid to ask, in the spaces between the noise, where the soul waits, where the hunger speaks, where your truest self refuses to be distracted any longer. The hunger won't go away because it isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The soul is not satisfied by temporary victories, because it was made for something permanent, and that ache you feel is not a problem to fix. It is a compass to follow. You kept climbing, you kept pushing, you kept chasing the next thing, not because you were greedy, but because you were hungry, hungry for wholeness, hungry for validation, hungry to feel like you finally mattered. So you chased achievement, because it was visible, because it got applause, because it made people look at you differently. You thought maybe if you accomplished enough, the ache would quiet down. Maybe if you built big enough, you'd finally feel like you belonged. But it never worked. Not really, because achievements can decorate your life, but they cannot define your worth. You got the certificate, but it didn't calm your anxiety. You bought the car, but it didn't silence your doubt. You reached the milestone, but the emptiness came with you, because achievements are not containers. They can't hold the weight of your identity. They can't carry your deepest questions. They were never built for that. You poured your meaning into them, and they leaked. You filled them with your expectations, and they cracked. Because meaning is heavy, heavier than applause, heavier than status, heavier than any trophy can hold. You thought success would answer your questions, but it only gave you new ones. You thought recognition would make you feel seen, but it made you feel more invisible than ever, because when people admire the mask you wonder if they'd still love your face. When they praise the role you question if they know the person. You start to fear that the more you achieve, the more distant your true self becomes. You smile in the photos, but your soul isn't in the frame, because every achievement without meaning is just performance. It impresses others, but it doesn't heal you. You keep running faster, not because you're ahead, but because you're afraid to stop. Stopping means facing the silence. Stopping means asking the real questions. Stopping means saying it out loud. I don't know why I feel so empty. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to admit it, because your soul is not shallow. It's deep, and depth cannot be filled with medals. You see people cheering for you, but they don't know you feel hollow inside. They see the brand, not the battle. They see the image, not the ache, but you feel it. You live with it, and it's telling you something vital. You cannot outsource meaning. You cannot inject purpose into your life with applause. You cannot patch the soul with plastic success. Fulfillment comes from alignment, not admiration. From living inwardly true, not just outwardly impressive. We chase fulfillment in achievements because the world taught us that's where it is. But the soul teaches otherwise. The soul reminds us that the greatest moments aren't always public, that the most meaningful victories are often invisible, that the deepest fulfillment isn't loud, it's rooted, and maybe, just maybe, the goal is not to achieve more, but to understand why we needed to achieve in the first place. To ask, what was I really chasing? Was it love? Was it peace? Was it approval I never received as a child? Because if you don't know why you're climbing, you'll reach the top and find nothing waiting for you. Just wind and silence. Achievement without self-awareness is just movement without meaning. It looks powerful, but it feels empty. So slow down. Listen to the voice beneath the ambition. It's not telling you to stop dreaming, it's telling you to wake up. Wake up to the truth that no trophy will ever be enough. No status will ever satisfy. No spotlight will ever substitute for inner stillness, because you were never meant to build your identity out of success. You are meant to build your success out of identity, and only when you know who you are can you finally stop searching for yourself. In achievements, you've tried building your life from the outside in. But it doesn't hold, it shines, but it doesn't sustain, it grows tall, but it cracks deep, because what's external can never anchor what's internal, and what's temporary can never satisfy what's eternal. You achieved the image, but lost the voice inside. You gained the world's attention, but missed your own alignment. And now you know success without soul feels like noise without melody, like a light show with no warmth, like applause that never reaches your heart, because satisfaction isn't about how it looks, it's about how it lives inside you. You wore the suit, but it didn't calm your mind. You stood on stage, but your peace stayed backstage. Everything around you looked complete, but everything within you felt scattered. And that's not failure, that's the cost of being disconnected from what is eternal. You thought the answer was more visibility. But visibility without vision is a trap. You thought the answer was more money, but wealth without direction is just louder emptiness. You thought if you built it big enough, beautiful enough, bold enough, it would heal the ache. But only what is eternal can carry what is sacred. Only what is rooted can hold what is real. External success can open doors, but only eternal purpose can make you feel at home inside them. You need more than achievement. You need alignment, alignment with something deeper, with something unshakable, because when you are aligned with eternity, you don't need constant applause. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to keep performing to be loved. You walk differently, not faster but firmer, not louder but clearer. When the inside is whole, the outside no longer needs to scream. But when the inside is starving, the outside becomes a desperate stage. You've performed long enough. You've smiled for long enough. You've impressed long enough. Now you need alignment, not another event, not another win, not another follower. Alignment with what? With truth. With conscience, with peace, with purpose that outlives the moment. You can no longer afford to live on decoration. You need foundation, not surface, but substance, not noise, but knowing, and that kind of satisfaction. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's not viral, it's deep, quiet, steady, sacred. It happens when the soul stops chasing and starts listening. When you stop trying to build an empire for others to admire and start becoming a person you can actually live with. When you wake up in the morning and don't feel the need to outrun your own reflection, that is the reward, that is the success worth building, that is the satisfaction worth pursuing, because external success fades. But internal peace remains, because external victories shift, but eternal alignment doesn't move. It stays when the crowd leaves. It stays when the lights dim. It stays when the metrics fall. It stays when the image cracks. And isn't that what you've always longed for? Not just to be admired, but to be anchored. Not just to be envied, but to be whole. The soul doesn't care how shiny it looks. It only cares how stable it feels. And you can only feel stable when your life is aligned with what lasts. You've tried everything else. You've reached the top. You've seen the view, and you know, deep down the only thing that satisfies is truth. And truth isn't a trend, it's eternal, so chase that, build from that, return to that, because until you do, you will keep shining on the outside and starving on the inside. You reach the place you were told to aim for. The place where others clap, where titles are etched in stone, where your name echoes louder than your voice, and still you feel it, that strange quiet ache, that space inside that success couldn't fill. And for a while you tried to ignore it. You smiled through it. You buried it beneath more work, more noise, more affirmation. But it wouldn't go away, because it wasn't there to destroy you. It was there to direct you. It wasn't failure, it was invitation, not collapse, but calling. You thought it was the end of the road, but it was the beginning of a deeper one, because emptiness after success is not proof that you chose wrong. It's proof that you were made for something more right. The whisper doesn't scream, it doesn't beg, it doesn't panic. It simply waits. It waits for you to stop running, to stop decorating the outside while the inside still echoes hollow. It waits for you to listen, to be still, to ask the hard question, What is this emptiness trying to teach me? We've been taught to fear the quiet, to avoid the void, to cover discomfort with distractions. But what if the discomfort is direction? What if the ache is an arrow? What if the silence is sacred? You weren't created to be endlessly busy. You weren't born to win, and then wonder why you still feel lost. You weren't made to fill a resume while your soul remains blank. There is nothing wrong with success, but there is something wrong with thinking it will complete you, because nothing external ever will. Completion is not a place. It's a posture, a state of soul, not a list of accomplishments. The world will tell you to dismiss the emptiness, to numb it, to replace it, to perform over it. But wisdom says, listen to it, because it's not your enemy. It's your echo. It's the echo of your deeper self calling from beneath the surface, asking not for more trophies, but for more truth. It's not trying to tear down what you've built. It's trying to rebuild what you've forgotten. The whisper won't compete with the noise. It waits until you're quiet enough to hear, and when you finally do, you realize it was never trying to shame you. It was trying to shape you, to show you that fulfillment isn't about reaching higher places. It's about going deeper into who you are meant to be, that you are more than your metrics, more than your moments of glory, more than your titles and timelines. That your worth isn't up for debate every time your audience changes, that the goal was never applause, it was alignment, never just success, but surrender. Surrender to the truth that no matter how high you climb, if your soul is starving, you're still not home. The emptiness tells you you've outgrown the shallow. It tells you there's more than performance, more than achievement, more than arrival. It tells you you were made for depth, for eternity, for something that can hold you, even when nothing else can. So don't run from the ache. Don't silence it with more noise. Don't bury it beneath more ambition, because that ache, that whisper, isn't weakness. It's awakening. It's the invitation to stop doing and start becoming. To stop chasing images and start discovering identity. To stop defining yourself by what you reach and start living from who you truly are. This emptiness isn't the end. It's the door. It's not your fall. It's your call. It's not failure. It's the father of clarity, and it only comes when you've seen enough of the world to know it cannot satisfy. Now you're ready to go higher, not higher on the ladder, but higher in truth, higher in calling, higher in identity. The emptiness didn't come to break you. It came to bring you home.